Are you aware of the fact that this has been the most unproductive Congress in the history of the Congress?
Congressman, I'll leave that judgment to
Okay,
members
well,
of
I'll
Congress
tell
and the
you
media.
it is, and I've got some numbers for you. So to me, you can show up and still not do a daggone thing. And so it's rich that we have so many opinions to give you and to tell you how to do your job, but seemingly we're not doing ours. Thus far, only 1% of legislation that has been introduced has been passed in this Congress versus the last Congress where it was 6 points higher, and the Congress before that 6 points higher, and the Congress before that 7 points higher. There is no other Congress that has been least productive, and guess what? The last Congress, they could vote remotely, and somehow they figured out how to get it done. So I would just say that we need to be very mindful of when we decide to throw stones, because we may reside in a glass house.
The least productive House in history. This might be because it's led by Republicans that have voiced one simple goal for the House.
Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected. This guy right here.
It's a piece of sound that should be played over and over again so that people know the real intentions of a party that refuses to work for their constituents. But they get other stuff done.
I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress in modern history. First of all, this Congress removed the Speaker, okay, which has never happened in the history of the Republic. That's clearly that's a big accomplishment in the 118th. This Congress took 15 rounds to even elect that Speaker that they then removed, right, which was historic in its own right. And then they removed a member of their own party. That hadn't happened in 20 years, so kudos to them. They've had a failed impeachment of a president. I don't think we've seen that happen in a really long time. This Congress did impeach a cabinet secretary, though, without meeting any constitutional threshold. We haven't seen that happen in 150 years. This Congress wants to hold Merrick Garland in contempt and then possibly arrest him. I don't think we've ever seen that in the history of the Republic. We've seen a failed motion to vacate to remove a second speaker. Again, history in the 118th.
There are some actual bills this Republican-led Congress has proposed that they can go home and tell their constituents about that Representative Moskowitz neglected to outline. There was the Refrigerator Freedom Act, sponsored by Representative Marionette Miller Meeks from Iowa, and it places limits on the authority of the Department of Energy to prescribe or enforce energy conservation standards for refrigerators, refrigerator freezers, and freezers. Specifically, the bill prohibits DOE from prescribing or enforcing such standards unless they are 1, technologically feasible and economically justified, 2, are not likely to result in additional net cost to the consumer, and 3, will result in significant conservation of energy. Not to be outdone by the Liberty in Laundry Act, sponsored by Andy Ogles from Tennessee. It places limits on the authority of the Department of Energy, again, to prescribe or enforce energy conservation standards for clothes washers. Specifically, the bill prohibits DOE from prescribing or enforcing such standards unless they, 1, are technologically feasible and economically justified, are not likely to result in additional net cost to consumers, and 3, will result in significant conservation of energy. You might be seeing a pattern already. But there was also the Stop Unaffordable Dishwasher Standards Act, or the SUDS Act. We can thank Representative Nicholas Langworthy from New York for the clever acronym baked into the title. And guess what? It places limits on the authority of the Department of Energy to prescribe or enforce energy conservation standards for dishwashers. Specifically, again, the bill prohibits DOE from prescribing or enforcing such standards unless they are 1, technologically feasible and economically justified, are not likely to result in additional net cost to the consumer, and 3, again, will result in significant conservation of energy. None of these bills had a chance to make it through the House, Senate, and onto the president's desk, and the entire Congress knew it. So why did they waste taxpayers' time and money writing them?
Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected. This guy right here.
And writing up nonsense bills to highlight their nonsense political conspiracies about energy-efficient appliances is a small part of their pledge to only serve and please their one true God.
But I'm also approving new dishwashers that give you more water so you can actually wash and rinse your dishes without having to do it 10 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dishwashers, you didn't have any water, so the people that do the dishes, you press it and it goes again, and you do it again and again. So you might as well give them the water because you'll end up using less water. They want to talk about your dishwashers and how much water you're going to have in your dishwasher, even though they don't work. And all of the other things that you have that were so precious and dear. Anybody have a new dishwasher? I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that. It's worthless. They give you so little water. You ever see it? Air comes out. So little water. So what happens? You end up using it 10 times, and the plates, then you take them out and do them the old-fashioned way, right? Dishwashers. We did the dishwasher, right? You press it. Remember the dishwasher? You'd press it, boom, there'd be like an explosion. 5 minutes later, you open it up, the steam pours out, the dishes. Now you press it 12 times, women tell me. And in many places, in most places of the country, water is not a problem. They don't know what to do with it. It's called rain. They don't have a problem. You're heating and cooling in your house. They want to change it. They want to change everything. These people are sick. These people are sick.
Everything they do starts and stops with what Donald Trump tells them to do. So when reality is brought up on the House floor, Trump's representatives spring into action.
We have a presumptive nominee for president facing 88 felony counts, and we're being prevented from even acknowledging it. These are not alternative facts. These are real facts. A candidate for president of the United States is on trial for sending a hush money payment to a porn star to avoid a sex scandal during his 2016 campaign, and then fraudulently disguising those payments in violation of the law. He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election. He's also charged with stealing classified information, and a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court. And yet, in this Republican-controlled House, it's okay to talk about the trial, but you have to call it a sham.
We take down his words.
It's okay to say the jury is rigged.
Mr. Speaker, I demand that his words be taken down.
It's okay to say the court is corrupt.
Gentleman will suspend.
But not Trump is corrupting the rule of law.
After being shouted down over listing Trump's charges and decisions against him, the facts about what he's facing, Representative McGovern posted this. Republicans just banned me from speaking on the House floor for the rest of the day because I listed Trump's trials. I didn't say he was guilty. I just stated the fact that they exist, and for that I was silenced. Apparently, Republicans are allowed to say that Trump's trial is a sham, and the judge is corrupt, and the jury is rigged, but it's against the rules for me to even acknowledge that the trials exist. There are zero principles when your objective is to serve the interests of one guy. They're so against doing any work, they vote down their own pieces of legislation that they previously fought tooth and nail over getting passed.
They have one choice, either vote for border security or go tell border security that you don't care about their safety, and you're telling Americans you don't care about their safety. It's a simple choice, in my opinion.
Democrats agreed to work with Republicans and to craft a bipartisan bill to increase border security measures, but then Donald Trump came out against the deal. Republicans voted to kill their own bill in the Senate.
Mr. Scott of Florida, no.
This is the norm. It's being seen in broad daylight. But these guys will go out and campaign on how much they've done for Americans and just act like we didn't watch them literally do as much as they can to limit progress after making seemingly humble promises.
Speaker, what is your role? You're piloting the House. You're the North Star. I know it's a thin deck, but nonetheless, you have the political gavel and the political platform. How do you want to play this?
Well, listen, I think that we've got to demonstrate that we can govern. I think we hold fast to our core principles, the things that made America the greatest, most powerful, most extraordinary, most benevolent nation in the history of the world.
Make no mistake, I don't think Johnson is a great speaker. We've had the least productive Congress since the Great Depression.
I don't think Mike Johnson's living up to the challenge of demonstrating that he and his party can govern. But it's all because of one very simple promise that's unwavering.
Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected. This guy right here.